What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? That was a good clap. Today we have an optic plate that slides into the rear sight of a slide that doesn't actually suck. It's made by Dove Mounts. There's two different versions we're going to go over. Everything has pros and cons to it, of course. And what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to do this video backwards. We're going to talk about what I think of it overall. We're going to talk about the pros and the cons first, and then I'll go into the specifics on the plate. Other companies have done similar products that are much lower quality, and that's why I want to do this video backwards so I can stress a few points to you. Now, as we go through it, if you like it, if you want more information, if it's your jam and you need one of these, there's a link down below. The code is TG10, saves you 10% anything on the Dove Mounts website. I get a kickback, makes me a few bucks, and everyone's happy. So overall, I do think it's a good option for someone who is looking to add an optic to their slide and either doesn't want to or can't or whatever have that slide milled. You know, whether it's a cost issue or they won't want to be without the gun or whatever the scenario is, this is a very good option. I say that because it's made from much higher quality material than a lot of the competition. I've even seen people make these out of aluminum, which is like, no, too wonky there for me. This is made from a high quality stainless stainless steel, a 17-4, really hard, solid product. So it's going to be one of the better ways of adding an optic when you don't want to get it milled. So my biggest pros: convenient. You don't have to mail the slide out and do all that hokey pokey stuff when it comes to milling. Again, the material is very high quality. It is easy to do. If you have a sight pusher, a buddy of yours has a sight pusher, assuming I'm talking Glock here, but has a sight pusher. It was very, very easy. Probably took me 20 minutes to do it. It's made in the United States, which is great. Again, U.S. material, made in the U.S. Two big pros for me. It is a bit cheaper than typically having the optic, the slide milled. So it's either $85 or $99, depending on which one you get. Again, we'll go over that here in just a second. And then the other thing to keep in mind, when you send something out to be milled, I highly recommend you don't leave that slide raw, unfinished. You got to protect it somehow, whether it be Cerakote or whatever else. You got to protect it because you're just going to get rust, likely to get rust underneath that optic, and that's going to ruin your slide, and that'd be bad. I do have a con. Like I said, there's no free lunches here. So I don't think this is as good as having the slide milled and screwing the optic right down to it. I'm definitely not saying it's a better option. It's not. Having the slide milled and screwing it right down to the slide is a better option, and it's going to sit lower. That's the big thing for me. It sits much lower. Even though this plate is nice and thin and high quality, having the slide milled, no doubt that optic is going to sit lower. And for people who aren't overly experienced with optics, that might make it easier to pick up the dot. I think you do enough drawing from the holster and presenting like that, finding the dot with good repetition is not that hard. I also have a neutral, not a pro, not a con. One quick neutral I want to give you a heads up on. Right now they have a version for the Holosun 509T, which is this one right here. They have another one for the RMSC footprint, and the RMSC footprint, I'll put it up here on the screen. It's like the Holosun K series and all those smaller. They don't have one for the RMR, which is obviously the most popular footprint for pistol red dots. And the reason this is not a con is they told me they're working on it. It's coming. Be patient. So if they didn't have one and they weren't in the process of making one, I would put that as a con. But because it's coming, hopefully we can be patient and wait for it. But I think their sales will go up significantly when they release the RMR footprint of this optic. All right, before we get into the specifics on this mount, because there are some important features I want to go over, let me quickly thank Nacha, the biggest supporter of my channel. They don't have anything like this. If you want one of these specifically, you got to go to that website and use that discount code. But they do have a ton of optics, hunting, camping, fishing, all that good stuff. Link is down you know where. I also want to thank TriStar Trading for supplying me with lots of dope shirts, pro-American, pro-gun, coolest designs. Me More Veteran, this is another one of their many cool designs. The link to both, all three rather, is down you know where. So that material again is a very strong tool steel. It's a 17-4 stainless steel. So not only the strength is very good, but also the corrosion resistance is solid. It's very likely you're going to break the optic before you break the plate. The finish on there is a nice black nitride finish, which will further help with the corrosion resistance. Now, as far as the footprints, the RMSC is again the smaller K series. I'll put up here on the screen which guns that footprint is available for it. So it works with like 8 or 9 different guns. As far as the 509T, right now that's only for Glock-based slides. Once again, I'll put up on the screen some of the Glock slides that's going to work with, but it will work with almost anything that takes a Glock rear and front sight. The front sight it does come with an additional front sight. They wanted to make sure that front sight co-witnesses with the rear sight that's built in to the optic plate. And you have a couple different choices. You can either get a night vision front sight that has some tritium built in, which is great. Night vision makes great sights, and they are all steel sights, no plastic here. The second option is going to be fiber optic. If you want a fiber optic, they come with either a red or green fiber optic, and you can choose other colors as well. Like I mentioned, the front sight does sit right in front of the optic. It's not distracting at all, but it will co-witness with that front sight, which is good. God forbid your optic goes down or you have any problems with it. As far as holster compatibility, I figured this was an important thing to talk about. I tried it with a handful of different holsters and did not have a problem. I tried it in an Alien Gear duty holster, a Safariland duty holster. I don't remember which ones, I'm sorry. I tried it in a few standard Kydex holsters like a A&R Design and Mission First Tactical, I forgot what else, and no problem with holster. I'm not saying yours is guaranteed gonna work, but chances are if you have an optics ready holster, there's a good chance you should be okay. I'm not going to go into the specifics on the install because YouTube hates that, and I'm hoping this video will be monetized. On the Dove Mount website, there's a lot of good details on how to do it. I'm just going to want to stress to you guys, it's not hard. It took me less than a half hour. Very, very simple. If you can push out a rear sight, if you have well, again, with the Glock, a rear sight pusher, you'll be good to go. Now, as far as reliability and testing, I brought this to the range twice. I put a couple hundred rounds through it. We also did some basic destructive testing, just racking it off the table at the range. And I do believe that the optic is going to break before the plate does, because the plate is a very, very strong steel, as I've said a few times. But we put a couple hundred rounds through it. It was very easy for me to pick up on the red dot sitting a little bit higher. It didn't take a long time for me to adjust to it, and no issues, no problems. Did some transitions, magazine exchanges, all typical stuff we would do to test a red dot, and everything was good to go. All right, closing thoughts. I am not saying this is better, again, than getting your slide milled for an optic. I'm not saying that. I think it's easier. I think it's a little less expensive. And I think Dove Mounts did a good job making an optic plate like this as high quality as you possibly could. There's a ton of slides out there that are not optic cut. Lots of folks who, for whatever reason, don't want to get them milled. So this is a good option. If you have any of those slides that are not optic, that are not milled for an optic, and you want to add that to the gun, it's a great option. All right. Let me thank Dove Mounts for sending them out. I was very hesitant to do these at first because I've seen very low quality versions of these, but Dove Mounts did a very, very good job. The link in the is down below, code TG10. Natchez, biggest support of the channel. Let me thank them again, because I'm not kidding, this channel would be hurting if it wasn't for Natchez with all the stuff they do. TriStar, sexiest, softest, dopest, best fitting shirts in the game. And I'm done shilling. Thank you guys for watching. Most important, if you think I deserve it, please subscribe to the channel. You can like and comment. That stuff is great. It truly helps with the algorithm, but the subscriptions is what I really need. So if you think I deserve it, click the button. I appreciate it. Santa appreciates it. I'll see you in the next video. Stay blessed. Be good. Peace.